911.
We're the police, man. You're okay.
Minutes later, Anthony Pattinson was dead.
Can you feel the pulse? I can't.
Before we go any further, I want to give you a content warning. You're going to see police using force on people who are struggling with their mental health or drug use. If that is something you are not in the mindset for right now, this is your heads up.
Sir! No! No, please! Please! No! No! No!
What you're watching are encounters with law enforcement that are about to turn deadly.
Take it!
Medical examiners blamed these deaths on something called excited delirium. Never heard of it? It's basically a theory that sometimes people can get so amped up, so agitated that they just die.
He was fighting this whole time, just stopped.
But critics call the term a cover-up because it mostly pops up when police restrain someone or use force. We found Florida medical examiners blamed 78 deaths on excited delirium since 2010. These are some of their faces. Most of these people died after police used force, restrained them, or both.
It's probably excited delirium.
This year, the National Association of Medical Examiners turned its back on excited delirium as a cause of death. So what happens when you find out your loved one's death may not match the government's official explanation?
I'm still in question about everything that happened.
Let's see what's brewing. I'm Jenna Bourne, and I'm an investigative reporter at 10 Tampa Bay. If you're new here, welcome to our deep dive into issues that matter to you.
911, what is your emergency?
Well, my husband woke up screaming. I don't know. I don't think he knows what's going on.
He was going crazy. I mean, I really have no other way to explain it.
These are the things they left behind. Flip-flops, 2 champagne glasses surrounded by rose petals, peppermints in a suit pocket.
Apparently that's his family.
Then there are the people they left behind. Like the daughter Gregory Edwards never got to meet. His wife was pregnant when he died.
Mama!
And Anthony Pattinson's mother.
Is that your son?
Who rushed toward the flashing blue lights after deputies handcuffed her son and bent him over the hood of a car.
Calm down, it's Mom. Calm down.
And then there are the questions they left behind.
There was never any answers, and nobody was ever made accountable for what happened. And I can't get over that. This is my son, Richard. My heart breaks my heart. Richard was handsome, that's Richard.
Is it hard to look back at these photos now?
Oh my God, it is. I just can't fathom it, him being gone. I just can't get over it. I really can't.
He's going towards the woods, but he's still not stopping.
Hernando County Sheriff's Office records say a man reported Richard Saucier jumped on his car and tried to punch him, but missed.
He stripped off all his clothes, and he was running down 19.
A sheriff's office report says a deputy fired their taser 5 times for 5 seconds each.
Give us your hands. That's all we need.
Fighting and we're going to tase you again. Stop.
Deputies reported Saucier was unresponsive by the time paramedics showed up.
After he was tased and handcuffed, his pulse was pounding at 150.
The taser prongs were in his chest.
I did make a phone call to the police station to talk to the sheriff. Nobody ever called me back. And I had a lot of questions about why he was tased so many times.
The Hernando County Sheriff's Office wouldn't meet us for an interview. Saucier's autopsy report says combined drug toxicity played a role, but his cause of death was excited delirium syndrome. When was the first time you heard the term excited delirium?
Never, until I talked to you.
What did police tell you he died of?
Drugs. I think it's a cover-up for the police department.
So what is excited delirium? That's a complicated question, since there is disagreement about whether it's even a real thing. But it's been characterized over the years as a sudden state that can involve agitation, confusion, paranoia, hyperactivity, hallucinations, high body temperature, sweating, and incoherent shouting.
People try to put voodoo on me, man.
It's sometimes reported in people who use stimulant drugs like coke or meth, sometimes in people with mental health problems.
It's PTSD.
Okay.
And I was going to take it to the VA tomorrow.
Critics say there's not enough evidence it can kill people, and it's been used to explain away deaths involving law enforcement.
The phrase excited delirium and the excited delirium syndrome had become more and more of a catch-all for many circumstances that were difficult to explain, we need a better understanding.
Every major medical organization has now turned its back on excited delirium, but police are still being trained that it's real and they need to be ready for it.
He was going crazy, like excited delirium.
Excited delirium, he's sweating profusely, calling for Jesus, so.
Would you say that this is a overdose type reaction or some type of medical event?
I would say that it appears to possibly be related to excited delirium due to an unknown cause.
Okay, awesome.
This year, the National Association of Medical Examiners released a statement saying it no longer endorses excited delirium as a cause of death. So what does that mean for people who already have it on their autopsy reports? We made our own database through hundreds of public records requests to medical examiners and law enforcement. We found that Florida medical examiners have identified excited delirium as the official cause of death or contributing factor for 78 people since 2010. At least 81% of those people died after law enforcement use of force, restraint, or both. And at least 32% were shocked with an electric weapon like a taser before they died. Okay, so now that the main organization of medical examiners has turned its back on excited delirium, are we gonna stop seeing it on autopsy reports? And is anyone gonna review their past cases? We reached out to every medical examiner in Florida, and it was surprisingly tough to get answers. I think it's my 4th or 5th email following up on this. I'm reaching out again about where your office stands on excited delirium as a cause of death. All right, hope to hear from you soon. Let me show you my favorite response from a medical examiner. We don't usually participate in news stories directly. Good luck, though. Thanks, District 14. Seriously, though, we really didn't have good luck. A majority of Florida's medical examiners would not give us a straight answer when we asked whether they would stop using excited delirium as a cause of death. Only 3 out of Florida's 24 medical examiners told us they would review their past excited delirium cases. Is your office done using the term excited delirium?
Yeah.
Dr. Tom Coyne was one of the exceptions. He's the medical examiner for Florida's District 8. He says excited delirium is real, but he won't use it as a cause of death in the future because it's become too controversial.
By not using the term excited delirium, you're forcing the physician to think about what is the process that created that scenario. Was it drug toxicity? Was it an underlying medical disease?
These aren't people who are dying from schizoaffective disorder. These aren't people who are dying from cocaine use, from an overdose. How does excited delirium kill them?
Your heart can only beat that hard, that long, until it fails. Whereas a person dies in that setting because they've reached their max point of exhaustion. And unfortunately, it happens to be when they are either restrained or handcuffed or on a stretcher or being transported to the hospital.
Forensic epidemiologist Dr. Michael Freeman co-authored a 2020 study that found there is no existing evidence that indicates that excited delirium syndrome is inherently lethal in the absence of aggressive restraint.
When there's law enforcement involved and the death occurs during restraint, that's when the term excited delirium is invoked.
If somebody is having this wildly elevated heart rate, and somebody is experiencing this exhaustion that you say can lead to death, and then they're restrained, they're tasered, they're given sedatives to suddenly turn that on a dime, you're saying that that doesn't make them more likely to die?
No, it's difficult, right? Because the problem here is that you have to administer treatment to these patients, but they're not in a state that is receptive for treatment. In other words, they're fighting back against you. There has been plenty of examples of restraint-associated deaths, but for the most part, in these cases, what is really dangerous is the underlying entity itself, not the restraint that is involved.
So what happens to the people left behind? Jude Saucier says she's done staying silent.
I want something done so this doesn't happen to somebody else. I have to protect him through death and life. And I always will. He's my son. You know, you don't give up on your children ever.
Thanks for watching What's Brewing. Subscribe to 10 Tampa Bay's YouTube channel and add the What's Brewing playlist to your library so you don't miss an episode. And I'll see you next time.